Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Goth and the Sloth podcast. I'm kicking us off today because we are going to be doing something a little different today. If you were listening to this in real time, you probably know what this is about. The entire nation is completely upended and upside down and protesting. We had talked about it briefly last episode. Um, Turns out, since then, it's only gotten worse. So Matt and I are going to be taking this episode to just talk about it a little bit. We'll talk about our perspectives, me as a person of color, a black person, a Caribbean person, and Matt as a white dude. and
A basic white
we
bitch.
will so basic. And we will, we'll find moments to laugh. We will talk about the more serious things. I will mention a few things that you can do if that's what you're looking for. And if you are burnt out on hearing people talk about this, no hard feelings.
Yeah.
Wait until our next episode.
Yes.
Cool.
But yeah, no, it's something important to talk about. And I think we both have stuff to say.
Oh, so many things. Though I won't say them all here. Um, I will say that this podcast, Matt brought up a good point right before we started recording that we wanted to do this podcast as a way to chronicle our experience living through a pandemic.
Hmm.
The pandemic isn't over. It's still happening.
Absolutely.
Um, People are still dying. People are still being hospitalized. It just so happens that it is not the main crisis that our country is facing right now.
It's a global pandemic with over 100,000 dead in the U.S. somehow became secondary news.
It did. It did. It was like, Trump was like, hmm, look at this unprecedented disaster in recent years. Hold my beer. Let's make another.
Yeah, let's make it worse. In every
Oh,
conceivable possible.
yeah. So, essentially, as of right now, today is what? June
June
4th?
4th.
So we're recording this on June 4th. As of right now, this is the ninth day, I want to say, of protests.
Sounds about right.
I think so. Eighth or ninth day. Um, They are still going strong. In fact, at least locally, they're getting bigger every day. Um, I don't know what Denver looks like. They're definitely more peaceful as the week has gone on.
Yeah.
Um, but these protests show no signs of stopping. And for a little bit of like super truncated backstory, which I mean, you have Google, just pull up Google and look. But this all got kicked off with the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis
Hmm.
by a police officer who is no longer with the force. And as of today, he is charged with murder of the second degree, and the three other officers have been arrested, but I don't know what they're charged with.
I saw it
Uh,
once, but I don't remember. I think one of them got a degree of murder too.
I think it's all manslaughter for
Yeah,
them.
that could be.
Yeah, I just don't know what degree. But that said, they say that there could be more later. I think I want to start this out with, especially since you won't be getting this today. Um, I want to start this out with a reminder that these protests are not just about George Floyd. For all of
Absolutely.
those people that are like, we got the guys. What are you guys mad about? And I'm like, are you an idiot?
Yep.
So, yeah, just this is for a, I mean, centuries long
Yeah, this is
problem.
this is to hopefully put a dent in a since forever long systemic racism throughout the entire world.
Exactly. I mean, and it entire world, it's incredibly it's just incredible that there have been so many international protests.
Yeah. And also, like, I thought it was pretty cool that they're questioning their own connection to race and stuff. I was watching some news reports on the Australian protests, and not only were they in support of us, but there was a lot of signs that say, Australia is not innocent, and a reminder, like, they treated their indigenous people, who are also their only black people,
Hmm.
awful, like possibly worse. Well,
Different worse.
different
Dif-
worse. Yeah.
Different bad. They're all so bad that it's all bad.
Essentially, yeah, as far as I understand it, it just combined what we did to natives and what we did to black people into one
Hmm.
group.
Yeah, it's nasty.
So,
Their history
anyways,
is
so yeah, everyone's
rough.
questioning their history with race as well, as they should.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, France has incredible racism issues.
Yep.
Um, and they had so many people turn out to their protest, and it was like during a ban and after curfew, and everyone was like, "Fuck you," which I thought was really cool.
Or however you say that
Um,
in French.
there are a couple ways. It depends on what you mean. What kind of fuck you? The French are decadent like that. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone, if you in case you needed that reminder that this is not a one and done situation. We still, for example, Breonna Taylor
Mm-hmm.
was murdered in her bed in her home in Louisville, Kentucky, and those dudes aren't even arrested.
Yeah, they weren't fired. They're still, as far as I understand it, they're still active.
Yeah, and even if they were fired, they
That's not
typically just
enough.
get rehired.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
da da da.
Yeah, just firing is not enough, obviously.
Obviously.
Like you get
So
fired if you burn your cooking too much if you're a chef.
yeah, I mean there are so many interesting things that people are saying about ways this things could change, and let me tell you, it's cool to hear it, but it's a start.
Yeah.
There's so much more. We as a nation need to come together and decide some things.
Hmm.
I don't know what that looks like, but I'll tell you what, doing nothing is not recommend. I'm gonna just say I don't recommend doing nothing because if you think this is a problem, it's probably gonna get worse. I already think it's gonna get. I keep going back and forth between thinking it's gonna get worse and get better.
Hmm.
Um, and the crappy part is that whenever I think that it's going to quote unquote get better, by that I mean get quieter. That's not actually better. That just means that we're returning to the status quo faster,
Yeah.
and that is one of the most depressing thoughts I can think of right now. Um, but I will say that at least here, I don't think we're simmering down. I'll let you share what's going on in Denver, but or at least what you're perceiving what's going on in Denver. For me, here in Richmond, our governor just announced today that they're taking down the giant 21-story Robert E. Lee statue that's in the middle of downtown.
Woot.
Um, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, people never thought that this would happen, and they've been fighting for it forever. He goes and says that's going to happen. I think that's amazing. The mayor wants to take down all the other ones that are on Monument, which is a street in Richmond. Um, it's it's certainly a start. I think it's awesome. I am currently even more worried for my safety right now because we all know that the good old boys and every other white supremacist, Confederate loving group is going to come out of the woodwork to try to protect their. Like,
Hmm.
okay. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how this weekend goes. I think it's probably going to come to a head this weekend, maybe.
Yeah. Strong possibility.
So what about Denver? What's going on in Colorado? It's a very different history than Richmond, which was the capital of the Confederacy.
Yeah. Ours is very much more subdued racism. It's there and it's strong, but it's not overt,
Yeah,
as you know.
I do.
But we've had, yeah, constant protests. They have been getting more peaceful every single night. Although they're still keeping up the curfew, which is total bullshit, and
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
it's an
We dropped our curfew.
that's
Tonight's the
good.
first night we don't have it.
Yeah, I think ours is still going up. Double check, but yeah. So I mean, it's essentially trying to make protesting illegal in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
not cool. Not cool.
But
Which I
they,
mean, at that point, you just protest the curfew, and we're right back at square one.
yep,
So,
not, yeah, you're really not solving anything at that point.
nope.
We did enact a new bill that's supposed to have more accountability for police, and
No,
they're the first
interesting.
state to do that.
Nice. That's
I'd have to
cool.
pull up all the stuff for it, but
Yeah.
essentially, it's stuff like we can sue the police for brutality now.
Oh, okay. They got rid of. I forgot what it's called,
Yeah, so that's a
but
big one.
that's a big damn deal.
Yeah,
So
that's a big one, and a few other things. But yeah, so we're like the first state to enact a new police bill, so that's
nice.
good.
Yeah, that's great news.
But yeah, the protests seem
Hopefully,
just
there's more after that.
yeah. No, we still got a long way to go, but you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like I said, I go back and forth between, woo, yeah, this is gonna spark change, and then the other part of me that's like, they're gonna do a one and done thing. Because I feel like that's what this is. Like all the kneeling, like there have been footage of all these cops and, elected officials kneeling with protesters. And I'm like, that's nice, but they still shoot you 30 minutes later. So
Yep.
cool.
That was a thing in Colorado. The day the police chief marched with everybody was one of our
Our
more
mayor marched
violent
with everybody
nights.
last week, too.
Yeah.
It was the most violent
One
night,
of
is
the
that what you
more
said?
violent nights was the the night after the police chief walked with everyone during the day. So,
Yeah, it's just yeah. So like this whole olive branch thing, like the symbolism is beautiful and symbolism is powerful, but it's not it's hard to believe that it's anything other than a photo op
mm-hmm.
like our dear frickin' president
Yep.
um or uh, some sort of other weird self-serving something like, look, we did this thing, why don't you all go home now?
Yep. We're nice
um
now. We're good.
mhm.
So yeah, don't believe the hype, as Public Enemy once said.
Public Enemy. Who knew that that would should be like the number one album of 2020?
There's been some interesting
uh,
songs coming out of this, not new ones, but ones that people bring out.
hmm
It's just been interesting. Where's the Love by the Black Eyed Peas has made a huge comeback.
That's weird. Huh. I've heard a lot of Beatles, Let It Be.
Nope, I will not let it be. I'm trying to toe that line of being peaceful, but yeah, you gotta keep pushing. We can't just be like, oh, let's all calm down. No, let's not all calm down. We
hmm
gotta keep moving. We gotta keep going forward.
Yeah. So, here are a couple things that I've been well, let me just say the a couple things that I think would be helpful for everyone to think about and potentially do. Um I'm not your mom. I'm not going to make sure you do it. You're your own person. If you can sleep with yourself at night, that's you. Um I would say for a lot of people who don't feel like they can protest because of health reasons, or you're exposed to someone that's high risk so you can't risk being out in crowds, whatever it is. Um the I hate saying it, but like money is kind of where it's at
Mm-hmm.
right now. If you can't be there, there are so many people that are being arrested for funsies at this point.
Yep.
Um, and we're gonna need a lot of bail money
Yeah.
in every state. So if you are in a place to donate, and these bail funds aren't just like, oh, here's your bail money. All right, bye. Like they're actually taking care of these people when they get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
They show up when they're leaving, they make sure that they're fed, they get water, they're paying for transportation from the jail to go home. They're just so that if you've been arrested, you're taken care of once you're out. Um, which I think is amazing, especially because some of these cities, including this one, like we arrested 233 people in one night. Uh, just and it was the night after they set fire to the Daughters of Confederacy building, which felt like a retaliation, frankly. Um, and for scale, Atlanta arrested something like 290 people over the course of the weekend, and we, a tiny town in comparison, arrested 233 in one night. And these people, I mean, so I guess I feel that some people might be thinking, oh, well, they were being, you know, crazy and rowdy and whatever. I assure you, these people were just hanging out. Sure, a couple of them were probably causing trouble, but for the most part, a lot of these people, there's video,
Yeah.
like multiple city after city of the police just grabbing people that are kneeling peacefully in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Kneeling and chanting is not a crime, and yet these guys are, these people are getting arrested, left, in a garage most of the time for 10 plus hours without any food, without a bathroom, without anything. Like, if any, I mean, frankly, I heard a friend of a friend's stories, um, of getting beat up and getting arrested. White dude, by the way, um, trying to ride his bike to go home, and too many police told him opposite directions of where to go, and then they descended upon him, beat him up, arrested him, and then, um, you know, I think it had the opposite effect of like, oh, we'll arrest people and let them calm down overnight. No, all these people that got wrongfully arrested and manhandled and beat up all sat together overnight in a
Yep.
jail cell
Yep.
and got more angry.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, so bail funds,
Yep.
I would recommend that. Obviously, non-governmental organizations and nonprofit organizations that are helping the cause. Maybe there's something more near and dear to your heart. Uh, find one that serves communities of color and help them. Uh, there's always the Black Lives Matter.
Yep. Just
That's an
directly
easy
to
one.
it. Yep.
So yeah, find a place to donate that works for you. But I do want to say that you can't just throw money at this problem. You can't just donate and expect everything to go away.
Yeah.
I recommend that if you are a white person or you're struggling to understand why this is happening, regardless of your skin color, read about it.
Yes. Ed-
Find stuff to educate
yeah.
yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Educate yourself. Yeah. Got to put in the clip from Lilo and Stitch. Here, educate yourself.
I like I don't want to rattle off a bunch of books. You have the internet.
Yeah.
Find find it. It's out there. Uh, there is an amazing. I don't know. I think Brene Brown's podcast. One of the more recent ones was about being anti-racist. highly recommend everyone listen to that if you're struggling with understanding what's going on here, because she speaks with the author of a book that explores anti-racism, and to kind of give you the ultra Cliff Notes version. And if you're too young to understand Cliff Notes, Google that too. But the ultra Cliff Notes version is that the opposite of racism is not to just not be racist.
Yeah.
The opposite is anti racism.
Hmm.
Just like the opposite of justice isn't doing nothing,
Yeah.
it's anti justice. It's always anti. It's a on off 1-0 situation. Not racist does not exist.
Yeah.
Anti racist exists.
Yep.
We can't, we as a society are starting, maybe starting to understand that being quiet, being silent and complicit, um, is just giving more power to the oppressor.
Yeah.
Anyway, so those
Nice.
are a couple things. The two main things, I think: if you can't protest, help those that who are, and if you um, if you're struggling to understand what's going on, educate yourself.
Hmm.
And if you are sitting there boiling about people protesting, and you're still saying things like, we need to deport all immigrants and stuff like that, I invite you to seriously look at logically look at your arguments and human rights, and maybe start there. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast, I'd be surprised.
I mean, I would add, if you still feel that way, you want to deport all immigrants, you think the protesters should all get shot. I see a lot of it in the comments and stuff. If you feel that way, might I invite you to eat a giant bag of dicks?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. If you feel that way, I invite you to go fuck yourself right
Just
over there.
let's just be honest with ourselves right now. Let's not censor. Let's just do
That's
it.
fair. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't been seeing too many of those comments.
I've been trying to watch streams of people that have been protesting because I can't during the week, especially this
Mhm.
week with my work and stuff. I know that's flaccid reason, but anyways,
Flaccid.
but yeah, if you watch it's hard to if you're watching it on your phone, like the comments just come up on the screen,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
really hard to not see them because I just want to watch the stream. I want to see what's going on, which is another way you can educate yourself too. Is if you're not out there, you can watch live what people are saying, so you don't get construed by anything outside outside what you just saw.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I also recommend that because the news that you're getting is such a bird's eye view of everything that there's so much you're missing if you're not boots on the ground. And I would recommend finding streams in your area, and or um Unicorn Riot is an amazing reporting nonprofit organization, and they don't censor anything. So if you have young ears that shouldn't hear people screaming fuck, then maybe don't watch it.
But yeah, it's funny that you say bird's eye view too, because sometimes if I just go into like the regular news station's live feed, it's literally a bird's eye view. They just have the
Yeah, it's
helicopter,
like a drone.
and you're like,
Yeah,
well, I see nothing. I see a lot of people, which is nice, but what's going on?
yeah, and I just saw that the US was added to the list of one of the most dangerous countries for journalists for the first time ever. So, understandably, journalists are probably like, I'm not going down there
Yeah.
because they're getting, shot with rubber bullets and
Yep.
tear gas and stuff too. So, I get it, but at the same time, if you're not down there, you're missing so much of the point and so much of the compassion that people
Yeah.
have for each other. Um, and then also how there's so much footage about showing police instigating
Yeah.
these situations.
Yeah, and I'd say
Um,
if you're not sure how you feel, don't turn away from those. It's going to be
yes.
hard, but watch those because it's
See, and that's why I need you, Matt, because I can't relate to that. Like, it's gonna be hard to watch it. Tough shit. It's hard to it's hard to leave my house right now. Like, I have to walk my dog, and I know two neighbors that clearly don't care about me or my rights or my life. And they're not the only ones in this neighborhood. So I am terrified to go outside right now. If and these people can't watch a damn stream of a cop punching somebody in the face with their hands behind their back. All right, y'all, listen to Matt.
because that's what I've been watching every single one of them, and I've also been watching the uplifting ones within the protest too, because there are some beautiful moments as well.
There are. Yeah.
So you gotta mix everything because this is everything, and like it ranges from you know incredible violence to incredible acts of humanity
And hope.
and hope.
Yeah. It's beautiful when you do find those moments. Um, yeah, I guess just don't shy away
Yeah,
from everything.
absolutely.
Try to try to get in there and wrestle with whatever it is you're feeling. If you're feeling yourself, if you're feeling emotion bubble up and you're feeling your face get hot with anger or shame or whatever, deal with it
Yeah.
because your choice not to deal with it in the past is what makes it worse now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we could have all dealt with this when we were kids. We watch kids all the time. They get into a fight, they cry about it for 3 seconds and then they're playing together again in the next 5
Yeah.
seconds. Like it's wild. They live I don't understand children. It's like they're tiny rubber beings. Anyway, but I think that if you're having those visceral reactions, that's your sign
Yeah.
that you know that you need to deal with something. And taking it out on somebody that doesn't look like you is not the answer.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Obviously. Look outside. So yeah, outside of that, Matt, do you have any other recommendations or is there anything that you've been seeing that you want to call attention to?
Um. Oh
Um
yeah, well, a lot. But um, I'll start with like the education bit as well. Is as someone that's white, you need to listen right now too. You need to listen to people of color and what they're going through. You need to listen and understand. It's not our time to speak out, and I think that's where some of the bad faith arguments come from and stuff. I mean, it's not this. We need to be part of this fight, but it's not our fight.
yeah, well said.
That's why I wanted Luna especially to start this podcast. Is this whole thing, the entirety of everything, the entirety of change needs to come from people of color. But that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we just sit back and do nothing. You need to, like we mentioned, get out there, or if you can't get out there, donate, do something, and
Yeah, I mean, we as people of color are going to steer the ship, but we need your power to get it going.
yes, and that's been some of the kind of some really beautiful moments is a lot of white people standing in front of black people when they're on the lines of the police.
It's beautiful. Yeah, because you're not as likely to get
Exactly.
hit, and if you do get hit, they won't hit you as hard.
Yep.
Like I was talking to somebody else about my friend that got beat up. It's like, yeah, he got his ass handed to him, hair ripped out, probably broken ribs. Like he is beat up. But if he were a black man, he might not be alive.
Yep.
That's the difference.
That is.
I'm not saying that you should get beat up. Please don't. Please try to avoid that at all costs. But understand the disparity and understand that sometimes we need your body there.
Yeah.
Like you need to be there. to help.
Yeah, like I'm going down Saturday downtown, and I'm going
Nice.
with water bottles, sunscreen, and trash bags. I'm going to help clean up. I'm going to make sure everyone's
Yeah.
hydrated. And also, since Saturday is going to be obviously a very big thing, there's probably some really bad people that might be out there, and I'm going to make sure that they don't try and interrupt a perfectly peaceful protest.
Yeah, we need eyes
Yeah.
looking out, you know.
S-
Yeah, I think it's great.
So those are those things. Another thing that's really gotten me on this entire thing is the Rose Garden speech in Lafayette Square. If we want to get into that
Go
whole
for it.
ordeal, so I decided to tune into the president's speech because I knew it was going to be an important one. I didn't realize it was going to be important in the way that it ended up being, but
I refuse to watch his speeches
I
live.
usually don't. I'm usually in the same boat, but I'm like, this is going to be pivotal for whatever reason it's going to be. And it ended
Mhm.
up being because he
Mhm.
essentially declared war on his own people.
Yeah.
Now, there's been some stuff, good stuff since then, like a fair amount of army refusing to go anywhere in America being deployed and things like that. But yeah, the statement still
Mhm.
stands that he wants to
Yep.
deploy the military. And then on top of that, the events that followed after, which there's a live stream of a guy. It's about 3 hours long that I watched most of it, where he was there. And yeah, it's perfectly peaceful protest. Yeah, they were yelling at the cops, but you know that's your First Amendment right. They weren't touching them. They weren't doing anything. They were yelling, and out of nowhere, they just started charging, and tear gas was thrown, flashbangs were thrown, and this is all to clear a path so our dear leader can go take a very awkward, shitty photo op in front of a church that he doesn't attend.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. And the bishop of that church released a statement the following morning that was completely denouncing it, saying that they were enraged and that it was despicable for the president to do that. Like it was such I think it's hard to say I was shocked because nothing he does really shocks me anymore, but I was in awe of the level
yeah.
of stupidity, ego, evilness. I haven't decided. That's what I'm wrestling with right now. Is like, is it is it truly like malevolence that fuels him, or is it that he's so stupid that he just doesn't think about the impact of his ego?
I refuse at this point to think that he's actually that stupid. It's I think it is. These are people that don't like him, so he doesn't care about them. And
Yeah.
so, fuck them. We'll just, clear the street. I want
And
to.
then he says that they weren't peaceful because they were protesters. That's not how this works.
Right? Well, then where was the military? Was it 4 weeks ago when we had people storming capitals with guns
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
and the liber and all his liberate whatever tweets? Yeah, where's
Yep.
that now? So you can't
Yeah.
have it both ways, and that's where we there's going to be a bit of an international incident happening, as far as I understand too. So during the whole clearing people out, an Australian news cameraman got attacked by police, and
Whoa.
that's on video, and obviously he had his camera too, and the Prime Minister of Australia he requested a investigation, whatever that means, but anyways, it's gotten the attention to be like, you're hurting our people too. Like,
Oh
what are
yeah,
you
BBC
doing?
reporter was also attacked.
Yeah.
It's
But yeah, looking on,
man.
but yeah, seeing it from the stream and then seeing it from that guy's camera, which is all over the place, where you can see that happening. It came out of nowhere, and then they would calm for a little bit, and then you'd see the police actually back up to charge back in, and it's
That's
yeah.
disgusting.
So
Wow.
yeah, Lafayette Square is honestly, I think it's the beginning of him essentially attempting to be a dictator. I might be speaking hyperbolically, but I don't even care at this point. That's the first act of a dictator.
Hey, we're having an open sort of free flow conversation which involves our emotional thoughts, and I hear you. Like, I don't know what whether he's trying to be a dictator or whether he just wants the second civil war to happen. Like who is in his ear? Um I don't know, but it was shocking to see. I wonder again, just going back and forth between, is this all going to fizzle out in a few days, in another week, or is something bigger coming? After seeing, hearing about the statue coming down here, I feel that something bigger may be coming locally.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about sorry, not internationally, but nationally, because I keep seeing, every time I like peek my head out of my social circle to see what's going on, I like rush to go back to bed because I mean they're kids doing the, what is it called, the George Floyd
Yeah,
challenge, where they're trying to choke their friends out. Like I I am just appalled at how many people aren't impacted by this,
yeah,
and how many people still support the president's actions and thoughts. And at this point, it's not even like a class thing, it's just a people thing. And I understand that there's a giant class disparity in our nation. Massive, massive
mm-hmm.
problem. We do need to fix it, but we cannot fix it until Black lives actually
Yes,
matter. Like we have to fix the race problem in all class levels before we can actually address the class issue. It's just, I think these people that are like all lives matter, uh, are are you blind?
yeah.
Like,
Like,
I get that you may have had a hard time growing up. I understand that. We can fix that too as a country if we work together. But we cannot fix it as a country if you're continuing to push down another group.
absolutely. Yeah, that's the worst bad faith argument I've heard for a long time. um, because of
Hmm.
course all lives matter. Duh, like that goes without saying. But I
Right.
mean, there's been a million other ways to paint this out as well. But it's like, you have a whole cabinet full of cereal. All cereal is good, but if you're out of Captain Crunch, you got to focus on the Captain Crunch to get all the other cereal. Like,
Right.
it's a shitty way to
Yeah.
put it,
Oh, there are so many
but
ways.
there,
So
but
many
yeah, you
ways.
need to there needs to be equity before equality, and we need to make Black Lives Matter before we worry about that. Like,
Before all lives can matter.
exactly.
Like that's,
Like the whole
yeah.
idea
So
of,
I
oh god,
just I was just saying, I keep seeing like little stragglers of the that sort of thinking when I poke my head out of my social circle, and then I'm like, please leave me alone forever.
although one of the beautiful things about one thing I saw on that is if you actually go to the hashtag All Lives Matter feed, it is all K-pop right now.
Yeah, they've been taking over all of the white supremacy, all lives matter, Whiteout Wednesday,
Yep.
all of that. Like K-pop has got our
Yeah.
back. I love it so much. It's like every time I see something trending that's like pretty racist, I click on it and it's all
Yep.
K-pop. It's good
Have you?
stuff. And I mean, we have to find ways to laugh right
Yeah.
now. Here's the other thing I'll say, and then I don't think I have much else to say on a public forum. But I do want to encourage everyone to take stock of how you're feeling and how you're doing, because we were in a
Mm-hmm.
pandemic. We still are in a
Yeah.
pandemic. We're in the middle of an economic crisis. We're in the middle of a lot of things, and we're all trying to get through it. It's not going to do you any good to lose sleep worrying about how you're going to respond to this crisis if you haven't taken care of yourself in regards to your work and your physiological needs. So you might feel guilty about taking a night off just to catch up on sleep or just to eat well or just to watch a movie that makes you happy, but don't.
Hmm.
This is me telling you don't. And me as in Luna, not me as in all brown people. No, I don't speak for all of them. I speak for me. Like, seriously, I know a lot of people have contacted me saying that, oh, this is happening and I feel so guilty that because I just need to take a day and I need to take away. Okay, I have two thoughts on this. If you're privileged enough to not have needed to deal with this entire thing, that you were able to say, "Oh, I'm going to turn my news off because I don't want to deal with this right now." If you're privileged enough to do that and you've been doing it this whole time, it's been over a week, and you in your bones know that you can handle catching up on the news, but you're just choosing not to because it's a little uncomfortable, then I challenge you to fucking do
Yeah.
it. If you have been devouring the news because you're like me and you just need to know what's going on in the latest thing, and you haven't stopped and you haven't eaten, you haven't slept well, please take a night off and take care of yourself, because if you are an ally, then we need you at your best. We don't need a deprived zombie showing up to a protest that can barely hold up a sign and will probably pass out and use up medics that need to be helping people who are on the front lines.
Hmm.
Take care of your body, take care of yourself, take care of your mind so that you can fight, whether that be mentally, fight in whatever way that you can. So those are my closing thoughts.
Yeah, no, all that absolutely. I would say, yeah, make sure you're not shying away from the police brutality. They make no, you know, what do I want to say? Don't kid yourself. Here we go. They are actually using full on war crimes against human beings and Americans,
Citizens.
citizens of America. They tear gas is part of the Geneva Convention. You're not allowed to use tear gas. They are
No, you're not. It is a war crime. You are allowed to use it in the United States for riots, but that just tells you how much they care about us.
exactly. But if our troops fighting enemies can refrain from using it, our police fighting their brothers can stop.
Absolutely.
The police are absolutely out of hand. They're fighting protest against police brutality with police brutality, which is stupid and backwards. And honestly, if you are a police officer, I encourage you to quit your job. I'm sorry, but the only good cop's an unarmed cop at this point, and that,
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I'm so slow to be absolute. So everything that I've said that has sounded absolute means that I've been thinking about it a lot. This is the first time I've thought about this, now that you're bringing this up, and so I'm slow to have an absolute statement on it. But I I have trouble. I don't have trouble with the concept of a good cop because I've seen them. There have been cops out there that have helped me in a pinch or whatever it is. They were good in that moment, but to stand by while a fellow officer punches a girl in the face who has her hands behind her back, I can't spot the good cop in that situation.
yeah,
So maybe you're right, Matt. I don't know.
that's about where I'm at. But I do think before we sign off, I think we should talk about a few of the beautiful moments to kind of leave this on a happy note. If you can, if you can think of
Okay.
any, I have a few. But
Okay, go for it.
so I try to shy away from this celebrity is doing this, that, and the other. But there's two
Hmm.
really great stories though that involve celebrities. Well,
I'll
one
take
is
it.
John Boyega. Um,
Oh, I heard about that. I didn't listen to the speech, but
it's a great speech, and then he is literally risking his career to be out with the protesters because historically Hollywood will start blacklisting people of color that are causing issues. And so he's absolutely risking his career to be in the protest. He's not giving money. He's not posting a black box on his Twitter. He is in the middle of the protest. And I think that's
yeah,
amazing.
cool.
The other is Gail Simone, a really known comic book writer.
Hmm.
Started, what's it called? The Comic Book Challenge? Comic Collection Challenge? And
Oh no, you're gonna win.
I wish. And she's challenging all her other creative friends, writers, artists, anything, to auction off their most prized possession uh, and give it to Black Lives Matter.
Whoa,
And people have been
nice.
responding with, sketches, with rare issues that they own because they wrote it, that they're signing. I saw one, who was it? From Joe Quesada, that as of like an hour ago is already up to $2,500 for a sketch page that he did.
Wow.
And she's also encouraging them to all do it on their own. Like, don't go through a company, don't go through eBay. Just kind of do it on your own. That way, none of the money gets taken out for admin, and you give 100% of
Hmm.
the money to Black Lives Matter.
Wow, that's cool. I hadn't heard about that at all.
So that's a great way to, that she used her platform to do something. And
Yeah, yeah, definitely think it's great to use your platform and use your connections right now. Since it feels like there's no accountability for the cops, um, you know, then we kind of have to be there for each other. So it's our networks that we're dealing with.
yeah,
And if you happen to have a big audience, it doesn't hurt to use that to help in some way, as long as you don't make it about you,
absolutely.
because the internet will come for you.
They will. Another
Um,
funny moment that I saw. I just think this is amazing. In D.C., they had the National Guard out there in formation, and they were out all night, and the protesters were outlasting them. And they started slacking off, and a guy just gets in front of them and starts yelling drills at them to like clear up the line, man. What are you doing? Line this up. Get together.
oh, sleepy. That's boy. At this point, like just following orders doesn't cut it.
Yeah, but I thought that was a great moment to just be like, yeah, we're
Yeah,
outlasting you. Have you
that's pretty
have you seen
funny.
anything that makes you smile or happy at least a little bit?
Um, the Whiteout Wednesday, when I saw Whiteout Wednesday is trending and I clicked on it, it was all K-pop and literal Bic whiteout. I was thrilled. That was pretty great. It's been really heartwarming to watch these live feeds and see how much compassion everyone has for each
Mm-hmm.
other, to see how diverse these crowds are. Um, that's been heartwarming. Um, I think maybe my favorite response to all of this, because it's kind of like when COVID hit and you got an email from every place you've ever stepped foot into,
Yes.
maybe sort of kind of.
Yep.
So now everyone's making all of these statements,
Mm-hmm.
right? And time after time it's we stand with our black employees. We stand, we honor diversity and inclusion at blah blah blah. And then Ben and Jerry's comes out.
Yes.
And I saw their statement and I was like, damn. Like they were like, we need to absolutely abolish white supremacy, all of this stuff. Like, I was like, and they listed like 5 things that we need to do as a country. Like, they were not messing around. I was like, oh, okay. Ben and Jerry's tonight it
Yeah.
is.
Well, they've never been quiet since they've been around. They have been upfront about their
That's
views,
true.
and I'm glad they stuck with that too. They didn't bother to shy away, and that's
Same. Yeah. And then Lego as well released a really powerful statement. And then they pulled back their police
mm-hmm.
line, like all of their, I guess, Lego lines that are centered around the police
Yeah. There's
force.
a line that's called City, and there's a lot of police stuff within that, and they pulled all that.
Yeah. And then they also pulled their White House thing back too, which kind of exposes their
Yeah.
views.
But that's okay because it's not time to pussyfoot around and try and placate people.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I guess I mean those are my things. I have my 2 critters here, uh, my dog and my cat that help the nights that I'm in Richmond be a little better, and I am lucky enough to have options to get out of town when I don't feel safe, which is always, but I can't. Sorry, my upstairs neighbor is being loud, which immediately I'm sweating because that's my neighbor that yells at me about racist crap all the time. So now I'm like, is he getting riled up? So, and then I worry about having to take my dog out later. And so, I guess on that note, check on your friends, your black friends in your town, see if they need a ride anywhere, see if they need help walking their dog. Um, Shit's scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I think I co opted your happiness with more sadness.
Uh,
Sorry.
it's there. Yeah, it's hard to find the happy in there.
It's
But
typical goth sloth
yep.
fashion, though. You're like, look at this slightly hopeful thing, and I'm like, yeah. Anyway, well, uh, thanks for sticking with us while we kind of unpacked what's going on. We'll go back to our normal episode format um, next week if I don't blow up.
Sure.
Um, and so we'll get back to it. We'll still talk about this stuff, but we'll roll it into our usual format. We just wanted to take a moment to talk about this candidly, uh, and yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for sticking around.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Do you want to do a normal sign out with the handles, or we good?
Nope, no
All right.
promotion.
Well, thanks for
All right, bye everyone.
defund the police.
Yeah.